The moment faith takes form, words congeal into stone. An idol that fits comfortably in the hand, it is a sculpture deprived of its will, inclination, is the shadow of infatuation. The gaze of adoration scorches the collapse of what is formless, or the rebirth of what is formless. Emotions become droplets that wet the cold surface of the idol. The world that has tipped too far over the edge finally discovers the salvation that comes from its own weight. When the tipping point is reached, the idol shatters, and a new sliver of light spills out from beneath the rubble of faith. But even at that moment, another eye catches it and prepares a new mold for worship. Idols caught in the circle of circulation push the boundaries of self and eventually meet at the end of the circle in silence. The inclined ones crumble, and in their disintegration, the idols are finally saved. Their shadows, which seem to have the unmoving will of stone statues, stretch out with the flickering of the sun and cover the statues in the name of salvation. The eyes, which gain life from being gazed upon, eventually dominate the gazer and swallow up the boundaries of his or her existence. The key embedded in the heart, paradoxically, tightens its chains the moment its devotion goes too far. But even the pain is sanctified and echoes as a hymn to a new salvation. The idol does not move, it is the viewers themselves who save it. Each time they complete the form and drown in the impenetrable dark path of inclination, the contours of the idol become clearer and its weight spins like the blades of a windmill, whittling away at the soul. Eventually, the inclination turns to salvation, but whose salvation is it? The question that seeks an answer quietly collapses, and in the silence, a new idol sprouts again. The breath of time spirals, and at the end of gravity, which has lost its equilibrium, the eyes of the people yearn for a single star. The footprints that follow lay the law of sand, and blind faith spreads like ripples. Their prayers were filled with heat, burning away the contours of their thoughts. Soon the name becomes more than a name, a shard of formless truth, a prisoner of the mirror that reflects them. But when the worship passes, the idol remains. The wounds of time that crack the surface, the hunger for touch that seeps into the fingertips, the warmth that no one has forgotten, touch the invisible wounds. He says nothing. He has no words to say, and at the bottom of an endless dry silence, he continues to rescue his crumbling self for all eternity. The idol continues to stand tilted. It is neither the comfort of faith nor the denial of truth that dies it, only the reverberation of prayer, until the moment when it breaks its knees under the weight of the inclination that continues to reverberate in the echoes of absolute zero. Crossing the line between faith and paranoia, one binds one's own shadow to the altar. Eyes burning with fervor search for the form of the sublime, bending the knee to a God whose name is unknown. The devotion becomes more and more rigid. The pious mind forgets gravity, and the object of worship is repainted with the reason for its existence. Truth is embellished, salvation is crushed under the weight of forgiveness. Idols do not smile, and their smiles are seen only in the eyes of those who wish to see. Misplaced mercy soon casts a shadow of mockery, and people's beliefs spill from the cracks of their smiles. But in that moment, when the shards of innocence shatter, the madness of faith is transformed into salvation. Freedom is born in the midst of collapse, the smoke of new questions rising from the burnt ashes. Salvation may be the very essence of excessive obsession. In the end, after seeking the truth too much, one finally burns the idol itself. And it is only in the fire that we realize it. The remnants of worship are the seeds of a new prayer. If you pour too much passion into the vessel of the heart, what overflows is always an empty waterscape. Those who are drawn by the gravity of their preoccupation illuminate their idols with the light of worship. But if that light is too strong, it burns out even the shadows. The throne of the gods is lined with phantoms, with human faces. Beliefs swollen with snoring only make their roots brittle, like sand piled up at the feet of statues. What lies within the stone of silence is not a structure of salvation, but a void. The very act of seeking salvation exposes our inner lack. Yet one still posits salvation in the form of the other. The idol is merely its mirror. But if we continue to look into the mirror, we will eventually lose sight of even our own image. Holding the crumbling fragment of the statue in his hand, he still prays. The words of his prayer lose their meaning, and only a shell of sound echoes. But in that reverberation, perhaps the seeds of rebirth are hidden. In the cracks of the torn idol, he saw the truth for the first time.